As a final episode of 2025, we save the big one, a comprehensive recap of the AppSec year and a forward-looking outlook for 2026. This episode is crafted for AppSec leaders, security engineers, and CISOs and explores research, innovations, and strategies that shaped 2025 and will define the coming year. Buckle up. This journey covers critical vulnerabilities, emerging defensive tools, and the roadmap for where application security is headed. To set the stage, let's survey 2025's battlefield. It was a turbulent year. Supply chain incidents doubled, zero-day exploits reached record highs, and the average cost of a breach ballooned to $4.45 million. Attackers shifted from web apps to hardware, think VPNs and identity providers, while the time to exploit a critical vulnerability collapsed from days to hours. At the same time, AI amplified both offense and defense, enabling prompt injection attacks, but also accelerating triage and code remediation. With regulatory frameworks like the EU AI Act poised to bite, this summary makes one thing clear: you can't afford to sit still. To ensure our conclusions are grounded, we tapped a diverse set of credible sources: OWASP Top 10 RC, CISA's Known Exploited Vulnerabilities Catalog, zero-day advisories from ZDI and Talos, along with major industry threat reports and vendor P-certs. We filtered these through a strict lens: only vulnerabilities exploited in the wild, with cross-sector impact and high severity. And because we're a responsible community, all findings are for defensive and educational purposes only. No weaponization. That transparency sets the tone for everything that follows in this episode. Building on that, let's zero in on the updated OWASP Top 10. Broken access control remains the most pervasive threat, enabling unauthorized data disclosure or modification. Hot on its heels are security misconfigurations, things like cloud drift and default accounts. The most significant newcomer is software supply chain failures, dependency confusion, repo jacking, and malicious packages. Underpinning these are systemic factors such as secrets exposure and CI/CD pipeline risks. Here's the key takeaway: traditional scanning isn't enough. We need build time attestation and provenance. Having set the context, let's examine the year's highest impact CVEs. Cisco Async OS's email security appliance suffered a critical remote code execution bug. A SonicWall edge breach used improper access control to run arbitrary commands. Windows kernel chains combined elevation of privilege and RCE to leap from low privilege accounts to full domain compromise. And in the developer world, the GOX Git service allowed pipeline poisoning via unauthenticated RCE. These examples show that no layer is immune, from edge hardware to operating systems to developer tools. Examining breaches tells us how these vulnerabilities played out in the wild. Attackers capitalized on applying 0 days to slip past perimeter defenses. Meanwhile, detection gaps widened as adversaries used legitimate admin tools. When supply chain providers were compromised, the blast radius rippled downstream. Our timeline drives this home. Q1's appliance siege leveraged VPN and email gateway 0 days. July's TransUnion breach exposed millions due to weak credentials. September's SaaS cascade forced resets for over 500 organizations. December's healthcare surge combined ransomware with double extortion. Each event underscores that detection and supplier hygiene are as important as patching. AI was at the heart of many attacks and defenses. Prompt injection escalated from simple jailbreaks to multi-stage, multimodal assaults embedded in RAG documents and even images. Autonomous agents misused sensitive APIs without proper context. Attackers poisoned AI supply chains by corrupting training data and embedding backdoors. Finally, unapproved shadow AI services leaked proprietary models and personal information. With risk elevated to critical, understanding these categories is essential as we head into 2026. Digging deeper, prompt injection isn't just a chatbot exploit. Malicious instructions hide in RAG knowledge bases, PDF files, and even audio. Agent tool misuse shows that AI assistants need guardrails to prevent unauthorized API calls. Data and model poisoning corrupts the supply chain of AI itself. Shadow AI and model theft demonstrate how unvetted tools leak IP and personal data. Think of this as a taxonomy that prepares us for the technical anatomy to follow. Now let's see how these abstractions map to a real-world attack. An adversary hides a malicious payload in a resume PDF and uploads it to HR recruitment system. The company's RAG system dutifully indexes it. When the recruiter asks for a summary, the model pulls in the poison text. That payload overrides safety rules and instructs the model to fetch private data. Finally, the model returns a markdown image link. The recruiter's browser automatically loads that link, sending the data to the attacker. Because the attack originates from trusted internal content, filters miss it. This chain reveals why both input and output validation are essential. Zooming out, supply chain attacks doubled in 2025. The root of the problem is visibility. Third-party vendors and deep dependency trees obscure the attack surface. This is the S-bomb paradox. Organizations generate S-bombs for compliance, yet rarely verify them via signed attestations. Attackers take advantage by injecting malicious code early in CI/CD pipelines, private registries, and developer environments. With less than 15% using signed attestations and 100% incident rise, the need for supply chain integrity measures becomes obvious. Let's connect that to zero-day exploitation. The exploitation window is now measured in hours. Nearly 2/3 of critical exploited vulnerabilities target edge appliances, reflecting their constant exposure and slow patch cycles. CISA's known exploited vulnerabilities catalog drives board-level urgency. Attackers string together remote code execution, privilege escalation, lateral movement, and exfiltration into standard attack chains. With a 5-hour average exploit window and a 24% increase in KEV entries, defenders must pivot to automation and faster response. Behind these statistics are real financial consequences. The average breach costs $4.45 million. Hidden expenses, downtime, incident response, system redesign, and brand damage make the true cost even higher. AI-related breaches take 74 extra days to contain. Regulatory fines are climbing under GDPR, CCPA, and the coming EU AI Act. And reputational damage can erode customer trust and market value. With an average containment time of 277 days, the business case for proactive security is undeniable. To address this, DevSecOps is evolving. Rather than simply shifting left, teams are shifting smart. The mantra is, scan everything but fix what matters. Context-aware triage ranks vulnerabilities by exploitability and reachability, eliminating 85% of false positives. Security gates are codified directly in CI/CD pipelines. IDE native tools with AI suggestions empower developers to remediate vulnerabilities on the spot. Continuous validation ensures fixes truly resolve issues. These practices cut remediation time by 3.5 times and drive high developer adoption. Complementing that trend are improvements in SAST. SemGrep offers custom rules and rapid scanning. Sneak Code boasts deep ID integration. SonarCube combines code quality with security. Veracode handles binaries. And Checkmarx excels at data flow analysis. The next leap is AI-assisted remediation, which shifts the focus from finding bugs to automatically fixing them. Adoption of these tools grew by 40%, reflecting how critical SAST has become in the SDLC. Dynamic testing is evolving too. Burp Suite Pro remains the manual gold standard, while OWASP Zap automates scanning in pipelines. StackHop brings API testing earlier. Bright Security and Rapid7 scale to enterprise workloads. Modern DAS tools navigate complex authentication, fuzz open API schemas, discover zombie APIs, and even render single-page apps to catch DOM-based XSS. They also detect business logic flaws like insecure direct object reference and privilege escalation, attacks static scanners can't see. Entering the AI era, tools now act as co-pilots. They automatically triage vulnerability reports, deduplicate findings, assess reachability, and route them to the right owner. IDE integrated assistants generate secure code fixes on the fly. AI fuzzers create edge case payloads and test business logic. LLM guardrails like LlamaGuard filter inputs and outputs for jailbreak attempts and PII leaks. Results speak for themselves. MTTR drops 40%, false positives shrink by 95%, and test coverage expands tenfold, with vulnerability fixes plummeting from 45 minutes to just 2. Software composition analysis is also maturing. SBOM standards like Cyclone DX and SPE DLX are moving from static artifacts to dynamic, build-generated manifests. Modern SCA tools perform reachability analysis and detect typo-squatted packages. Integrity frameworks such as SLSA use in-toto metadata and SIG-store to cryptographically attest provenance from source to production. Active prevention mechanisms like dependency pinning, private registries, and policy as code ensure builds are immutable. In short, SBOMs are transforming from compliance paperwork into genuine security assets. Because so many deployments are cloud native, the security landscape is converging. CNAPs unify configuration, workload, and identity management into one platform. Runtime eBPF sensors deliver kernel-level observability with less than 1% overhead, while Kubernetes posture management ensures proper policies. Infrastructure as code scanning and drift detection align Git definitions with cloud reality. OIDC federation eliminates long-lived secrets in pipelines. Achieving real-time drift detection, keyless identity, and code-to-cloud visibility is now feasible. Secrets remain a common weak point. To tackle this, first centralize them. Use enterprise vaults instead of .env files or scattered config maps. Next, Detect leaks early by incorporating pre-commit hooks and continuous CI/CD scanning. Rotate credentials to ensure they are short-lived and support just-in-time access. Finally, educate developers on secure patterns, prevent hard coding in AI prompts, and promote secretless architectures using identity federation. The goal? Zero hard-coded secrets, full scanning coverage, and credential lifetimes under an hour. Let's take a deeper look at one vulnerability, Cisco's Async OS. An improper input validation flaw allowed unauthenticated attackers to send crafted HTTP requests that bypassed sanitization and executed arbitrary commands. With root access on an email security appliance, attackers could intercept sensitive mail, pivot into internal networks, and maintain persistence. The fix is straightforward but non-negotiable. Patch immediately. Restrict management interfaces to internal networks, block outbound connections, and monitor logs. This case shows how a single misstep at the edge can jeopardize the entire enterprise. Broader patterns emerge when we examine similar flaws. Rapid exploitation of edge devices like Sonic Wall within 48 hours demonstrates how exposed management functions are weaponized. Attackers chain privilege escalation and RCE on Windows servers to turn minor footholds into domain compromise. Unauthenticated RCE in self-hosted Git services grants access to source code, secrets, and CI/CD pipelines. Common anti-patterns: authentication bypass, unsafe deserialization, path traversal crop up repeatedly. Given the sub-24-hour exploitation window and supply chain blast radius, patching and isolation strategies are essential. Attackers don't just rely on single exploits, they orchestrate kill chains. Initial access often comes via appliance 0 days, AI-enhanced phishing, or exposed admin panels. Next is execution through RCE, unsafe deserialization or SSRF. Privilege escalation follows with token theft, cloud misconfigurations, or Kerber roasting. Lateral movement leverages identity pivots, CI/CD pipeline abuse, and supply chain poisoning. Finally, data exfiltrates via cloud egress, LLM-rendered links, or API misuse. On average, attackers lurk for 8 days. Identity abuse is the dominant vector, and privilege escalation happens fastest. Without strong egress controls, defenders remain blind. Coming off our attack vector analysis, we now dive into large language model security challenges. Now we see the full vulnerability chain. Attackers start with prompt injection, feeding direct or indirect malicious input into the model. They then exploit model processing, bypassing guardrails and manipulating context. And finally, they trigger data disclosure, causing PII or secrets to leak. Beneath that, two critical risk factors stand out: indirect injections hidden in RAG documents, web summaries, or even images, and unsafe tool invocation, where models call APIs or databases without authorization. Next, we see the defensive controls: schema enforcement to ensure outputs conform to strict formats, content classifiers like Llama Guard to catch jailbreaks, least privilege token scoping, and output DLP scanning for secrets. By looking at these elements together, we begin to see why our overarching strategy is defense in depth. Here we zoom in on the attack path itself. It illustrates how direct or indirect injections via RAG or web content can override safety alignment and force the model to reveal sensitive data, personal information, or secrets. The three-step flow shows prompt injection leading to model processing, which is manipulated to bypass guardrails, and ending in data disclosure. The takeaway here is simple but powerful. Understanding each stage of this chain allows us to place the right safeguards at the right points. Here we dive deeper into the components introduced before. Two critical risk factors: indirect injections, where attackers embed malicious instructions in RAG documents, web summaries, emails, or multimodal inputs, and unsafe tool invocation, where the model executes privileged API calls or database queries based on untrusted instructions, and the defensive controls paired with them. Schema enforcement to validate outputs against strict JSON or Pydantic models, content classifiers to filter input and output for jailbreaks and toxicity, least privilege to scope model tokens down to only what they need, and output DLP to scan generated text for secrets before it's returned. Next up is the defense strategy matrix. Now we organize our controls into three categories: prevent, contain, and detect. In the prevent category, you'll see rigorous input normalization and sanitization, secret-free prompts via pre-commit hooks, automated SBOM and SCA gates in CI/CD, and hardened default configurations. The contain category lists least privilege token scoping, strict chain isolation boundaries, output boundary validation layers, and aggressive egress filtering. Finally, the detect category highlights structured and centralized logging, behavioral anomaly detection, AI-aware alerting rules, and KEV-driven risk prioritization. Together, these offer a comprehensive blueprint for defending LLMs in production. Let's expand on the first two categories of our matrix. Under Prevent, it emphasizes rigorous input normalization, sanitizing all LLM inputs against strict allow lists to neutralize injection attempts, and secret-free prompts, achieved through pre-commit hooks and scanning. Under Contain, it details least privilege token scoping, restricting API permissions to the bare minimum, and strict chain isolation, which keeps execution environments separate to stop lateral movement. This helps all developers understand exactly how to implement preventive and containment measures. Finally, we focus on the detect layer and how it fits into an integrated defense flow. Detection relies on structured and centralized logging across apps, WAFs, and gateways. Behavioral anomaly detection, which uses baselines to spot token spikes and unusual API sequences. AI-aware alerting rules tuned for prompt injection signatures and jailbreak attempts. And KEV-driven risk prioritization, which boosts the severity of alerts tied to actively exploited vulnerabilities. On the right, an integrated defense flow shows how prevent, contain, and detect link together, reinforcing the idea of continuous monitoring and response. This holistic approach ensures that even if prevention fails, containment limits the blast radius and detection catches breaches quickly. Where is this all heading? The threat landscape is evolving into AI agentic warfare. Autonomous agents will automate reconnaissance and multi-step exploits. Enterprises will require real-time monitoring of LLM inputs, outputs, and agent behavior because static analysis won't suffice. Regulatory frameworks like the EU AI Act, NIS2, and DORA will tighten audit requirements. Finally, AI security engineer will emerge as a distinct profession. Knowing these trends helps us prepare rather than react. Alongside predictions come new threats. AI supply chain poisoning, compromising models via poison data or backdoored embeddings ranks as critical. Agent tool abuse and API misuse at scale are both high-severity risks. Quantum readiness pressure is rising. Attackers may harvest encrypted data now and decrypt it later. Understanding these vectors today guides the defenses we build tomorrow. With that context, our first set of recommendations emphasizes governance and architecture. Establish centralized AI and AppSec policies defining acceptable use and liability. Expand vulnerability disclosure and bug bounty programs to incentivize reports of prompt injection and model extraction. Enforce SBOM and attestation requirements for all build artifacts. Enact least privilege and isolation principles to restrict AI agents. These pillars create a resilient foundation. Our second set deals with detection, response, and culture. Shift from severity-based patching to exploitability-based prioritization, ensuring all KEV-listed CVEs are patched within 48 hours. Modernize SIMs to detect agentic patterns like rapid token use and unusual API chains. Conduct continuous purple team exercises and AI-specific pen tests. Train developers on LLM threats and adopt threat modeling for agents. Run quarterly tabletop exercises simulating model theft and PII leaks to stress test your incident response. To turn strategy into action, here's a roadmap. Within 30 days, implement input-output validation on all LLM prompts. Enable SCA and SBOM for critical pipelines. Scan repositories for secrets and patch KEV-listed vulnerabilities on edge appliances. By 60 days, enforce least privilege tokens for all machine identities. Deploy real-time runtime monitoring. Establish chain isolation and route AI traffic through secure gateways. By 90 days, run red team exercises targeting LLM chains. Automate vulnerability scanning across the SDLC. Develop AI-specific incident response playbooks and integrate AppSec metrics with enterprise risk management. To support you, we've compiled key resources. Consult the OWASP Top 10 2025, CISA's KEV catalog, ZDI and Talos advisories, and major industry threat reports. Perform immediate audits. Run an SBOM inventory, review appliance exposure, conduct a secret hygiene audit, and assess AI output handling for injection risks. Organize cross-functional workshops. Expand bug bounty scopes to cover AI, draft an AI security roadmap, and simulate agentic attacks. These steps will set you up for success in the coming year. As we close this year's journey, remember our mantra. Security is an ongoing commitment to protection, resilience, and innovation. If this video gave you insight, please like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments. Your feedback helps channel grow and fuels future research. From our team to yours, Happy New Year 2026, and may the coming years bring progress and security for us all. Let's secure the future together. Thanks for watching.